So Monster Hunter is exploding right now, and everyone's rushing to try this game. But how do you start playing it? You boot up the game, and immediately your screen is filled with shit you can't even understand. Fear not, because I'm a witty Capcom YouTuber, and I've been playing this game for longer than it took Bethesda to make the same game. I'm here to give you a guided tour of Monster Hunter World, one of the best action games in, well, the world. See what I did there? I'll explain why you absolutely need to play this game, how you bag yourself any monster, no matter how intimidating or fetish material they are, how to pick the perfect weapon for mashing buttons, how to play with your friends online, how to not die so you can keep your friends that you play with online. And we're gonna do it in 25 minutes, cause I don't got all day. You and I both got big titty goth bitches to fuck, so let's get this over with. Let's start with the big question. Rainin, why should I bother with this Monster Hunter game? Why on earth is everyone else playing it right now? Well, for starters, giant anime titties. But another good reason is it's a game that many people have been sleeping on until now. And that's in spite of Monster Hunter World being the best-selling Capcom game literally ever. This game is the most unique action game known to man. If you look at the big picture, this is a game that appeals to so many different people. In most games, you fight hordes of enemies and work your way up to a boss fight. You slay the boss, move on, rinse and repeat. Well, in Monster Hunter, the entire game is the boss fight. You go in and hunt up to 3 of these gigantic monsters. One hunt can easily take up to an hour. These monsters are extremely detailed. They are real living creatures frolicking around a jungle of other living, breathing creatures. I'm not joking. These games have an entire ecosystem simulation happening while you fight. This game both looks and feels beautiful. Just look at the footage you're seeing on screen. It looks pretty damn good, right? What if I told you this game is 6 years old? It came out on the PS4, which means you probably have a system that can play this game. Because it's so old, it's so easy to run, despite looking this amazing. I've been able to play it on a Steam Deck. Lots of people are. You like Pokemon? Well, there are so many monsters, they might as well have a Pokédex for all of them. And just like Pokemon, there's a monster out there that I know will be your favorite. Each one has a unique theme that gets integrated into their design, and they just look so badass. A lot of them even get their own theme song, and every monster in the game has corresponding weapons and armor to go along with them. Yes, you can look badass too. You like Devil May Cry? Each weapon in this game is like an entire DMC character. The combat mechanics are so stupidly deep. There's even combos and a training room. And this game is pretty damn hard. It's a heavily skill-based game, so you will be using everything. But we haven't even gotten to the best part. This game is 4-player co-op. There's an entire online community. You can gather in the multiplayer hub to chat, dance, eat, and hunt together. If you get real serious, there are tons of people online documenting the game and how it works, talking about strategies for certain monsters, and even people min-maxing this game like an MMO. And that's why so many people are playing this. There is so much content for everybody. You and all your buddies can easily have a great time. If you like action games even the slightest bit, this game has you covered. There's so much to this game that frankly it gets overwhelming, which is this series' biggest problem. Monster Hunter World and Rise have put in a lot of work to make these games much more accessible. But if you boot it up, you'll have a hard time juggling everything. That is, until you see the rest of this video. We've covered why you should give Monster Hunter a shot, but now I need to explain how you can land yourself a good first impression with this game. This section used to be 2 minutes, and then I realized I could just do this. There you go, that's the controls. To be honest with you, the game explains these weapons far better than I could. So what I recommend is that you go into your equipment box, that's this red box over here, and you change equipment, go to your weapons, and just press the top button on each one to watch the little movie Capcom made for you. What I'm gonna show you is what the game doesn't tell you. The game starts you off with Sword and Shield. That's the noob weapon, right? What if I told you that you were so horribly wrong? This is the god of all weapons. Every Monster Hunter Pro worth their salt agrees Sword and Shield is literally the best weapon in every game. It's the simplest. You swing your sword, you block with your shield. It's also the most versatile. You have every tool you could ever ask for with Sword and Shield. This weapon is like picking Ryu. Here's a controls diagram, but the best way to learn? Beat the ever-loving shit out of that training dummy. You can find it by going into your room and talking to your housekeeper. Yes, your housekeeper is a cat, and yes, it talks mad shit about you behind your back. Now, Sword and Shield looks a little complicated. You won't believe just how batshit all the other weapons are. Dual blades very easily do a lot of damage very quickly, and you get to go anime mode. What's the downside? Well, you better not be bad at the game, because the dual blades main is always the one who fails the quest for everyone. Dual blades require some really intense stamina management, so I hope you can keep track of that. Otherwise, you're not getting anywhere with these. Gun lance. You like blowing stuff up? Here's a really long rod where you can put bullets in and blow stuff up. There's 2 lances in this game, and the nice thing about both is you can walk up, poke the monster, then get the fuck out of there. The con is it's a gun, and you eventually gotta reload. Yes, a melee weapon you have to reload. Don't ask me, it's some Japanese dude's idea. Lance. Play this if you're apparently too dumb to pick the exact same weapon, but with a gun. Jokes aside, Lance specializes in Okazime. What's Okazime? Good. That means you have a life. It provides you with more defensive options and greater control of where you can thrust the lance. You also don't have to fucking reload it! But gun lance is also a gun, so I mean... Longsword is so easy to use, but you'll disappoint your parents. If you want to be the weeaboo, and if you want to hit literally everyone else on your team by accident, you can use this weapon to counter the monster's attacks and store up energy for your own devastating combo. But again, you'll disappoint your parents. It should be noted every longsword player is cursed for life. They have the curse of not hitting the fucking tail! Now it's time for switch axe. If the Monster Hunter gods for some reason don't pick sword and shield, they'll bring a switch axe. You can cut down the damn internet with this axe.
Get away from the internet. I'm cutting it down right now. No!
And when this funny axe picture is full, morph into a sword that can cut through just about anything, even more internets. The con is it's very slow. You can't even hit some monsters with this weapon. Hunting Horn is my personal favorite weapon ever. Not because I use it, not because it's easy to use, not because it deletes the monster, but because the guy who brings this is literally the biggest bro in the universe. Homeboy could have brought literally any other weapon in the game and decided to do the most thankless job ever. Hunting Horn is cool because by playing music, you can heal your team, buff their damage, buff their defense, and make them immune to getting stunned. The con is while everyone else is hunting the monster, you're slowly lugging around this gigantic horn and just pressing buttons. Bow. You liked ranged weapons? Cool. Are you Amish though? If the answer is yes, then try bow. Bow focuses a lot on good positioning and charging big hitting shots. Just like dual blades though, it requires some intense stamina management. Bow guns are interesting because they're roughly the same weapon but with different tools. Light bow gun is if you like it fast and nimble. Heavy bow gun is super slow like a tank. The benefit of a bow that's also a gun is you get bullets that have tons of properties that you can switch on the fly. You can modify these weapons even further beyond that because they have their own weapon modding system where you can add perks to both of these guns. Hammer is great if you want to just go full caveman. Is the monster acting a little too horny? Give it a big ol' bonk to the head and it'll stop moving around so much. This is like diet Hunting Horn. Good hammer players are your best friends. Downside is you'll practically hit everyone else on your team. It'll mostly be longsword players you'll piss off though. Insect glaive. Use this weapon if you want something a little weird. The glaive has the ability to launch an insect to attack the monster. The higher level this insect, the more it buffs you. To get these buffs, you hit the monster in the head, torso, and tail with this insect and recall it to you every time in between. Then apparently you start playing The Floor is Lava. Fun fact, glaive has an entire on-ground moveset that I never see glaive players use. Charge blade is sword and shield minus everything good about sword and shield, and it's also an inverse switch axe. You start in the blade mode, then get the axe later. This is unnecessarily complicated weapon number 1, and that doesn't mean it's bad. A lot of people swear by the charge blade, but be ready for the biggest learning curve in the entire game. This weapon will fight you every step of the way. Your reward is you get access to elemental statuses that you can proc on the monster at any time. But how long will it take you to become a really good charge blade player? Like an entire lifetime. You basically have to become a NEET to get anything out of this weapon. Don't play charge blade unless you have a lot of free time. And now greatsword. No Japanese game is complete without an impractically large sword. You want to look like Cloud Strife? Greatsword. You unable to do basic math? Greatsword. Are you bad at rolling? Greatsword. You like holding down one button the entire game? Greatsword. It's a big ass sword that can be used as a shield, and all you gotta do is hold a button and pray the monster is still there by the time you're done charging. The con is you are easily the fattest man on earth. You are the immovable object in the best and worst way possible. There's one key element every Monster Hunter enjoyer should know: how to play with the homies. Monster Hunter can be played single player, but it's a 4-player co-op game. Go grab your friends, man. Now you might be asking, Rainin, I don't have any friends. Yes, you do. That's this guy. This is your Palico. He's your very dumb, but very useful best friend. You can forge weapons and armor for this guy, and he even gets special abilities you can give him. He'll even join you online, so long as you don't have too many people. The way you play multiplayer is you start what's called a session. From this menu, you can join a friend's session, search for a session, or create your own session. And you can put a bunch of filters and criteria before people can join your own. Then you can invite people through Steam, Xbox, PlayStation, whatever platform you're using. When you and the squad gang up, it'll be here in this pirate ship that is suspiciously high up and poses a hazard to absolutely nobody. This is called the Gathering Hub. In here, you can be the toxic little gamer you were born to be. If you want to join a player's quest, walk up to this board and pick a quest. If you want to post your own for others to join, just talk to these lovely ladies over here. Now here's where it gets a little complicated. Quests that are tied to the game's story, you can't start with your friends right away. You need to play the quest until it arbitrarily gives you permission to use what's called an SOS flare, and then your friends can join. I have zero clue why they decided to do it this way. Thankfully, this isn't every quest. Now, how do you get your hands on that sweet armor they have?
Leave me in the dark with a hole for a heart, as low as I can get, burn the bridge with the stench out. Pick it up! Dark with a hole for a heart, as low as I can get, burn the bridge with the stench.
Now you need to know how to not get your ass beat when you go on quests. Your weapon and your equipment can carry you pretty far, but for some of the tougher monsters, it just won't be enough. You need to actually know how to survive the monster. First things first, you play hide and seek. Your character is a horny furry in disguise, and in order to roleplay effectively, you must compulsively smell every footprint you come across. You see that glowing shit that always whips the camera from you? Those are scout flies, and their job is to show you where to find these footprints. When you've finally gotten your very questionable rocks off, the scout flies will flee in fear of you towards the monster. Now that you're face to face, the monster will get territorial and tell you to fuck off. This will make your character a beta and stop responding to your inputs. Monsters can roar and stomp their feet to limit your ability to move. One trick is to perfectly time your roll and just iframe through it. You can also block tremors if your weapon has a block button too. If you're really bad at timing, there's decorations for that. And if everything fails and you wind up stunned or sleepy, just beg your buddies to give you a quick smack. The monster telegraphs everything. Every monster has a specific animation for every attack they use, and there's gonna come a point where you fought the same monster enough times to read their mind. Just find the pattern and boom, monster down. Another tip, use your mantles. There are so many of these cloaks in the game, and it's not a bad idea to abuse these. These give you mobility options and allow you to hide from the monster. Collect as many of these as possible. The Vitality Mantle is especially helpful because it reduces oncoming damage by a shitload. These monsters hit like a train, and they drain this dinky little green bar up there really fast. Now, if you're playing with friends, there's one important rule you gotta keep in mind. Hit the monster and not your buddies. Rainin, that's just common sense. Obviously, you don't try to kill your... Well, actually, I do that sometimes. You shouldn't try to kill your friends. But some of you I know are going to be playing hammer, longsword, and dual blades, so listen up. Your weapons can hit other players on accident, and when they do, they'll either get staggered or sent fucking flying, dog. Nobody likes that. So here's a few little tricks to avoid a lot of screeching later. If you have a sword, go for the tail. The tail can be cut off for extra materials. If you have a blunt weapon, go for the dome. That way you can give the monster a concussion and also break parts off of its head, which lead to rarer materials dropping more often. But the biggest benefit is everyone will get hit way less often. However, that means you and your team gotta keep it in your pants. If you regularly run into people who can't follow this rule, there's a skill called flinch free that'll at the very least prevent you from getting smacked. And my next big tip, use everything around you. At the start of the hunt, there will be a blue box. This is how you'll figure out who's your friends and who's your foe. There's only enough materials for everyone to grab in equal amounts. But if you have a team member who goes goblin mode and grabs extra, make sure to call out their shit and shame them for it. This box contains healing potions and rations. Rations allow you to restore maximum stamina. Keep those handy. That stamina bar will get shorter as the hunt progresses. There's also items you can bring with you like traps. Traps are like using a stomp on the monster. You place it on the ground, and so long as the monster is on top of it, it'll stop moving. Unless it's Rajang. You're going to fucking hate Rajang. Scattered all throughout the map will be ores, plants, and bones that you can collect on your way to the monster. Take the time to grab all of this because these are crafting materials and you'll want them later. This is the closest you'll ever get in your life to touching grass. Monster Hunter World and Rise also feature what is called endemic life. These are living organisms frolicking around the map that you can use against the monster, which leads us to another thing. The monster is a living thing. Not only are there ways you can manipulate and outsmart it, it'll eventually stop fighting and run for its life. You can chase after it and get it while it's running, or you can wait for it to feed or fall asleep and catch it by surprise. This late into the hunt, you might notice your weapon start to bounce off the monster. This means your weapon is as dull as my sense of humor, and you have to pull out your whetstone to sharpen it. Is your weapon still bouncing? You're probably using Charge Blade, and I am so sorry if you are. If you're not using Charge Blade, it means you gotta upgrade your weapon. You gotta unlock a new color on your sharpness meter up here. Eventually, the monster will start limping and be on the verge of collapsing, and this is where you can make a crucial choice. You can slay the monster and carve its body for materials, or you can capture the monster and end the hunt earlier. Killing the monster should be pretty obvious. To capture the monster, place down a trap on the ground. Then when it's trapped, throw what are called trank bombs. Throw a good few of them. One won't be enough. You'll see the camera change and the monster will listen to an ASMR video. You'll also see this camera change when you kill the monster too. And if it gets annoying, just press select. You can thank me later. Congratulations! You've just completed a hunt. When you get to the screen, just select take all. Now do all of that thousands more times and you'll be a pro before you know it. Now you know how to fight and how to survive, but here's how you move up in the world. Monster Hunter is an RPG game, but don't jump out of your seat hoping this will be the next Final Fantasy. There's no experience points or leveling up in this game. The way you get stronger is your actual legitimate skill level at the game. But armor is a great way to avoid dying until you get there. To get better weapons and armor, you walk up to the forge and spend years perusing these menus for the exact thing you need. Now, if you thought the weapons in this game were a hard decision, where do I even begin with armor? Each set of armor can give you special passive abilities, and the way you mix and match them can make you either a god at the game or a god at sucking ass, like your average dual blades player. Every piece of armor has what is called a skill, and these skills stack on top of other skills and level each other up. You gawking at a piece of armor that's almost perfect? Well, later in the game, you can get what are called decorations. These basically allow you to attach any skill into any weapon or armor piece, so long as the decoration physically fits into that item. Yeah, some are larger than others. You can also craft something called a charm at the forge to wear on top of your armor. These provide skills too, and much like weapons have elemental damage, certain armors have elemental resistances. Is this too complicated already? Capcom has you covered. Just turn left and walk up to this counter. If you want to keep everything simple, there's a set of armor in the game called the Defender set. Buy this armor if you want to skip all that stuff until you're more acquainted with the game. Let's say you do want to go all out and craft yourself an elaborate set of gear. How on earth do you gather these materials? 3 ways. You farm a specific monster that material drops from. You collect resources while exploring the world, and you talk to NPCs. If you're gonna farm a specific monster, one super helpful website is Kiriniko. I'll leave it in the description below. This weapon has drop rates for every crafting material and tons of info for every monster. And by the way, speaking of Kiriniko, all monsters in the game are weak to a certain element, so it doesn't hurt to look them up ahead of time. So if you're struggling with a certain monster, just make a weapon of that element and make some armor that resists what element the monster has. And there's plenty of content here on YouTube that actually teaches you how to counter every single monster in the game. But then there's farming. Literally, you have the botany station, which will help you amass items over time. Every useful basic item in the game you can grow here passively while you play, and you can upgrade these stations by completing quests. Speaking of which, the NPCs hanging around here will give you these quests. You'll want to read the text of every NPC that has an exclamation mark, because it might unlock something super useful, like Tail Raider Safari. The Safari helps you get materials that are usually found in the field, and that includes stuff from monsters. You gather up all of these crazy cat motherfuckers and you send them out to die. Unfortunately, they will return after a little while, but you get to keep everything they collect. The melting station is really good for if you get bones by the game's RNG. You can exchange less rare materials for rarer materials. So if you have tons of one thing but you need another thing, you can make it happen. The Argos Josie allows you to select a group of items in bulk, and when it returns, you can buy the randomly selected items it comes back with. The canteen allows you to eat before you go on your hunt, and eating provides way too many benefits to sleep on. We're talking increased max health, max stamina, you get more defense, more attack power. A hunt without eating is like walking in with no armor, which by the way, you can walk into your tent and eat there if you forget. And just like armor, you can customize the platters for the exact skills you want. If it gets too complicated, just pick the chef's choice and be on your way. Finally, the merchant allows you to buy whatever you need. However, he only sells you the staples. Eventually, the merchant will carry items like the defense charm and the power charm. These give you a passive boost in attack and defense just for holding them in your inventory. Speaking of inventory, you can equip all of your gear and your items at this red box found all over the hub. Also at this box, you can craft tons of different items in the crafting menu just by scrolling through the list and selecting what you want to craft. After you've got everything all set up, you can create an armor set and an item set by pressing the select button. These are presets that you can quickly switch between, so you can have a loadout for as many different situations as you want. And in the items menu, you can sort and restock all of your items by pressing in on the left stick and pressing the top button. It helps a lot to do this real quick in between monsters. Speaking of which, how do you actually unlock new monsters? Oh boy, this is gonna be a mouthful. You unlock harder monsters, which means better weapons and armor, by increasing what is called your hunter rank. How do you raise your hunter rank? Doing a side quest progresses the game's story. Once you do enough of the side quests, you get urgent quests. For each urgent quest, your rank goes up. After you do enough of these, you'll unlock what is called high rank. During rank 6 to 9, nice, you'll fight the final bosses of the game. Once you beat the game, you'll unlock what is called HR break. After HR break, you'll see your level shoot up by a fuck ton. And then you complete all the game's side content. That is, until you buy Iceborne. Iceborne is essentially an entire game itself, with another leveling system. It progresses the exact same way as the other ranks, but they're harder. You get the Clutch Claw, which is basically baby mode. This weapon is actually fucking broken. Then you play until you get to Sharish Valda, and you get MR break just like HR break. Once again, now all you do is the game side content. And fucking finally, we're done with this section. The progression system is so fucking confusing until you have someone give you a step-by-step tour of it. And can you believe this shit was more complicated in the previous games? But now you know everything you need to know to have a great time. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask below. I'm positive that either I or all the other goated Monster Hunter fans out there will help you out. Which brings us to our conclusion. And by the way, I saw you looking at him. This is my character. She didn't give you permission to look at her boobs, dude. You better go apologize in the comments right now. That, my friends, is how you play Monster Hunter World. This is actually the debut of a brand new series I'm doing on my channel. I'm going to be making introduction videos to all sorts of Capcom games. This alongside the 50 million other series I'm making, which, by the way, in case you missed it, I'm a Capcom YouTuber. So if you like Capcom, maybe stick around, like these guys did. Big ups to all of my recent subscribers, including Brandon Teflon, Headshot Slinger, Rex Hervonen, Officer Snickers, Redacra 9, the Dragon Dog. If you're not in here, just let me know in a comment. Are you jealous of all those people? Well, these folks are my followees. What's a followee? It's like a groupie following a rock star, but without the drugs and the sex. It's more fun than it sounds. You can become a followee by helping out Chun-Li with that subscribe button. If you're not convinced enough, maybe check out some of my most favorite videos. More importantly though, I hope you all have a good one. Peace.